Chapter 38. You know that feeling when you wake up in the morning after you have been sleeping in a tent and don't want to leave your sleeping bag? Even if you really have to pee, so you lie there until you can't hold it anymore? You crawl out from the sleeping bag and feel, yeesh. That is how cold it was that morning. But no matter where people had been that night, they began to move around, and you could already see the sun when Siv woke up and realized she'd been sleeping against the tree with Leon's head on her shoulder. The first instinct was, of course, to shove him off, but then she remembered she had already done that several times during the night, and that Leon always woke up and started talking, and she wished they never had met. Siv carefully stood up, gathered all her things, and inched away. But then she, despite that, heard that he woke up and said,
"Oh, it stopped raining."
She was like, "Oh, why, God, why are you so cruel to me? All a girl wants to do is get up, gather all her things, and disappear before the guy wakes up." Now they had to have that awkward conversation when he asked what it meant. Was he her nobleman now? Would she call? And Siv decided that she wasn't going to have any of that, so she started running. She could be surprisingly fast when it came to running away from serious conversations. She did it all the time. Holding onto her bag with her right hand, she ran out over the grass. She wasn't going to let that thief be the man for her golem heart. It had to be a knight in shining armor. She even outran the couple who were out jogging. She kept running until she passed the outer circle and almost got hit by a car on Albany Street. Only then she realized that she still had Leon's jacket. She threw it away at a bus stop and continued jogging, until she, by a strange coincidence, came out on the A400 and recognized the big skyscraper at Warren Street. From there, she easily found the way back to the hotel. She was going to take a taxi, but then she realized that Leon had all her money, so she had to walk. Bloody crook, taking £2,000 to lend a jacket to a frozen girl. It did not matter if it was his favorite jacket. She didn't feel bad for throwing it away. She'd paid £2,000 for it. It was rightfully hers. Back at the hotel, she collapsed on the bed and fell asleep without getting undressed. She woke up half an hour later and grabbed the phone. "Hello? Miss Brandt, we have a young gentleman waiting for you down at the reception. He says he wants his jacket back." Siv dried some drool from the corner of her mouth. "Okay, tell him that I will be down in just a second." And then she hung up the phone. See, this was exactly why you should never give people any information about yourself. With only her name and address, Leon had been able to find her. Now she would have to get a new name and hotel. She looked out from the door into the hallway and then slipped out through the fire escape, triggering the alarm. Out on the street, several fire trucks drove past her, heading towards the hotel, and she looked in the other direction like a criminal in case somebody would recognize her. That was how she came across a hair salon. She went inside. "Good day," she said to the guy that greeted her. "I would like an extreme makeover. What would you recommend if I wanted to look as different as humanly possible?"
A brush and a lot of conditioner,"
the guy said and looked at Siv's tangled hair.
"No, I just kid."
Well, we could do a punk haircut."
"And what is that?"
"Well, we would shave this side, and of course we'd have to cut down the rest. Sit down, we'll get some magazines and show you what I mean." Siv was a little startled when she saw the pictures.
"People really walk around like this?"
"Well, it's a little extreme, I give you that. But that's why it would work. You're so cute and normal that we would have to do something extreme," he said and turned away.
"Okay, I have to admit that I am a bit scared."
"Don't be. It's going to look great," the guy said slowly and started the hair clipper. As she saw how her hair fell off, she began to panic. And when he was about halfway, she suddenly exclaimed,
"I have changed my mind,"
and tried to get up again, but he gently held her down. "Honey, there's no turning back now. Relax so I don't pinch you with the trimmer." Then he smiled when she closed her eyes. "So, what do you do for a living?"
"I am writing travel articles, updating travel guides and things like that."
"Sounds interesting. So you're working on an article about London now?"
Yeah, I'm staying in town for a few weeks. Wish it could be a bit longer, but I have to be in Dublin 3 days from today.
So what is your favorite part of London so far?
I actually haven't seen much of the city, but my favorite part so far, I think it is the British Library.
They sat there chatting for about an hour, mostly about Civ's made-up travels. She told him about that time she ate a lion for dinner in Congo, Kinshasa, or for example when she mixed up Switzerland and Sweden, went to Sweden instead of Switzerland, wrote an article about how difficult it was to understand the mushy German they spoke on the Swedish countryside, and Civ was in the middle of telling another story when the guy suddenly said, "Okay, you can look now." Civ carefully peeked.
Wow,
Like it?
it is so beautiful
Civ turned her head so that she could see.
and very, very pink.
She paid quickly and insisted on giving him a very large tip.
No, 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 no. You have done such a great job, and I am really happy with my new haircut. You deserve it.
And then she almost rushed out from the salon before he had a chance to give it back. My God, she looked ridiculous. She halted in front of another store and looked at herself in the window. I mean, it was beautiful. If she had seen it on somebody else, she would think it looked cool. But it wasn't her at all, which sort of was the point. But it felt like people stared at her, smiling because she looked like a zany. Ashamed, she marched to the library. One of the librarians she had never really talked with, she was perhaps in her 30s, said,
Impress? That looks cool. Yeah, I just don't know if it's really me. I think it looks great.
She went back to her table. It had been less than 10 hours since she had gone out for her walk, but speaking with Leon had made her realize that she had not wasted her life. She had been wasting her time, if that made sense. She had come here to find a nobleman for her golem heart. So, Civ swore an oath to herself to not rest until she'd found him. She would eat breakfast on the move. All sick leave days were canceled. She would sleep 8 hours sharp. It was the scientifically proven amount of sleep that any normal person needed to function properly. So, no more sleeping in and no more drinking tea and reading the newspaper in bed. After extensive research that would only have taken minutes if she used a computer, Civ found some advertisement about a medieval festival at Hermonceau Castle. There were no pictures, but it promised knights, bowmen, and men-at-arms, so it seemed very promising. And the festival would be held at the end of August, so she still had a couple of days. She tore out the advertisement and put it in her pocket. The next step was to find an encyclopedia of all castles and fortresses in Great Britain, to find out where Hermonceau Castle was. Aha! It was close to a town called Lewes. And then she walked to the nearest train station to buy a ticket. When she came back to the hotel, she was exhausted but proud of everything that she had achieved. Someone stopped her in the reception.
Miss, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Oh, Miss Brandt, sorry, I didn't recognize you. Really?
Civ exclaimed, thrilled.
Was it perhaps because of my new haircut? Yes, I sincerely apologize. Don't you worry about that,
Civ said merrily.
It could have happened to anyone. Oh, Miss Brandt? Yes, I remember now. We have a message for you here.
The girl at the reception handed her a note that Civ read while she held the supplies she had bought for her journey to Lewes. It didn't say much, just call me and the number underneath. Civ threw away the note with an expression on her face that said,